The old farm sat at the edge of space where humans had built their homes. Jack Morrison lived there alone for many years after he stopped working for the space colonies. He was 60 years old with gray hair and strong hands from years of hard work. The only people with him were Luna, and her strange pet Luna was not a normal woman. She had pointed ears and violet eyes that seemed to glow in the dark. Her skin was pale like moonlight, and she moved without making any sound. She had come to his farm 5 years ago and said she could not remember who she was or where she came from. Jack let her stay because he was lonely and she needed help. Her pet was even stranger. It looked like a big cat with orange fur. But sometimes Jack saw things that made him wonder. The animal was too smart and its eyes showed deep thinking. Sometimes when it breathed out, small puffs of smoke came from its nose. Luna called it Ember, and it followed her everywhere. The day started like any other Jack was, fixing the fence around his vegetable garden when the radio started making noise. Storm warning, storm. Warning, it said over and over. A solar storm is coming. All people must find shelter. Electronic devices will stop working. Jack was not worried. He had lived through many solar storms. His farm had thick walls and a deep basement where they could wait until the danger passed. He called to Luna, who was feeding the chickens. "We need to get ready," he said. "A big storm is coming." Luna looked at the sky and her face became worried. "This is not a normal storm," she said softly. Ember made a low growling sound and pressed against her legs. Jack did not understand what she meant, but he trusted her feelings. They began to prepare food and water for the basement. Jack checked the backup power system while Luna gathered blankets and medical supplies. The sky started to change color from blue to green and purple like a giant rainbow had broken apart. Then they heard the sound of engines. Many engines. Coming fast, Jack looked toward the road and saw a group of vehicles racing toward his farm. They were hover bikes, military grade, and moving at full speed. Dust clouds rose behind them as they turned into his yard. 13 riders stopped their bikes and got off. They all wore black armor with wolf symbols on the chest. Each one was a woman and each one carried weapons. Jack counted rifles on their backs and pistols at their sides. They moved like soldiers, but also like hunters. The leader took off her helmet and Jack saw she was young, maybe 30 years old. She had short blonde hair and golden eyes that were not normal human eyes. Her face had scars from old fights. "My name is Captain Riley Stone," she said. Her voice was strong and used to giving orders. "My pack needs shelter from the storm. We will pay for food in a safe place." Jack looked at the 13 women. They were all different ages, from maybe 20 to 40. Each one looked dangerous, but also tired, like they had been riding. For a long time he saw blood on some of their armor and burns on their bikes. "The Wolf Brigade," Jack said, recognizing their symbols. "You are bounty hunters." Riley nodded. "We are on a job, but the storm caught us. Your farm is the only shelter for 500 miles. We need to get inside before the storm hits full power." Jack wanted to say no. He liked his quiet life, and these women brought danger with them. But the storm was getting stronger, and even bounty hunters deserved shelter from death. He looked at Luna and she gave a small nod. "You can use the main house," Jack said. "But your weapons stay locked and you follow my rules." "This is my home." Riley smiled, showing teeth that were a bit too sharp. "Deal, old man," she said. She turned to her pack. "Inside now, move fast but stay alert." The women grabbed bags from their bikes and moved toward the house. Jack noticed how they stayed in formation, watching all directions even while walking. One woman with cyber implants in her face stayed back to guard the bikes. Luna stood very still as the hunters walked past. Ember pressed against her legs, and Jack saw something strange. The cat's fur seemed to ripple and change color for just a moment, becoming scales instead of fur. But when he blinked, it was just fur again. Inside the house became crowded fast. The hunters spread out, checking windows and doors. Their leader, Riley, stood in the center, giving quiet orders. Jack did not like how they took over his space, but kept quiet. "Alexis, take first. Watch," Riley said to a tall woman with dark skin. "Morgan, scan the area. I want to know if anything followed us." The woman called Morgan had a glowing cyber eye that spun and clicked as she looked around. "Not farmers?" she said, looking at Luna. That one has combat training. I can see it in how she moves. Luna stayed calm, but Jack saw her hands tighten. She and Ember moved to the kitchen, staying away from the hunters. Outside, the storm grew stronger. The sky turned dark purple and green lightning started to flash. This was not normal lightning. It moved sideways and made shapes like hands reaching down. Something followed us, said a young hunter that others called Sage. She pointed out the window. Look at the lightning patterns, that is not natural. Riley cursed and pulled out a scanner. The screen showed strange readings. This is bad, she said. The storm is not just solar radiation. Someone made this storm. Someone is hunting us. Jack felt cold fear in his stomach. What have you brought to my home, he asked. Riley looked at him with those golden eyes. We are hunting the void dancers, she said. They are not from our dimension. They attack human colonies and take people. No one knows why. The lights in the house flickered and went out. The backup power kicked in but only gave dim emergency lighting. In that darkness, Jack heard Luna whisper something in a language he did not know. Ember answered with a sound that was not a cat sound at all. The storm had arrived, and it brought something worse than wind and lightning. It brought hunters from another world, and Jack Morrison's simple farmer was caught in the middle. The 13 wolf bounty hunters began to prepare for battle, checking weapons and putting on more armor. Luna stood in the shadows, her violet eyes glowing brighter than before, and outside something that should not exist began to circle. The farm Jack had wanted a quiet retirement, but tonight he would learn that some people can never escape their destiny. The storm was just beginning. The storm raged outside, making the windows shake with each blast of wind. The 13 bounty hunters spread through the main room of the farmhouse, setting up defensive positions. Their leader, Riley Stone, stood near the fireplace studying a holographic map that floated above her wrist device. Jack watched these women take over his home. Each one moved with purpose and skill. Alexis Kane, the second in command, checked their ammunition supplies. Her dark skin gleamed with sweat as she worked fast to distribute power cells to each hunter. Morgan Cross, the one with the cyber eye, kept scanning the walls. Your house has hidden panels, she told Jack. Old military construction. This farm was built on something else. Jack tried to look surprised, but Luna caught his eye from across the room. She knew his secrets just as he was learning hers, the youngest hunter. Sage found Ember in the barn. The girl came running back, her face white with fear. Captain, she called over her radio. We have a situation. The cat is not a cat, Riley cursed and headed for the barn, but Luna moved faster. She appeared in the doorway, blocking their path. Please do not hurt him, she said. He is just scared. Just scared. Riley repeated. The scanner says your pet is reading as a class 5 exotic. That means military-grade bioweapon. Luna stood firm. He is my friend, not a weapon, she said. Let me calm him down. In the barn, Ember had grown. His normal cat size had expanded to fill half the space. Scales covered his body where fur used to be, and wings pressed against the wooden walls. His eyes glowed like hot coals. The hunters aimed their weapons, but Riley raised her hand. Stand down, she ordered Luna. Talk fast. What is that thing? Luna walked slowly to Ember, speaking soft words in her strange language. The dragon, for that is what he truly was, lowered his great head to her touch. This is Ember, she said. He is the last guardian of my people, your people. Riley asked. You are not human. Luna turned to face them all, her violet eyes bright with old pain. I am Ashanti, she said. We came from the stars long before humans learned to fly. My people are gone now, eaten by the void. I hid here, forgetting who I was, until you brought the danger back. Morgan Cross stepped forward, her cyber eye spinning. The Ashanti are myths, she said. Legends about the first star travelers. We were real, Luna said. And we left guardians at key points across the galaxy. This farm sits on one of our old way stations, a beacon between dimensions. Jack felt his world breaking apart. You knew, he said to Luna. You knew what my farm was built on. I suspected, Luna admitted, but I had lost so much of my memory. I needed time to remember, and I needed to keep Ember safe. He is young for a dragon, only 50 years old. The lights flickered again, and through the windows they could see shapes moving in the storm. Not solid shapes, but things made of shadow and starlight. They are here, Riley said. Void dancers. Everyone inside now. The hunters rushed back to the house, with Luna and Ember following. The dragon had shrunk back to large dog size, but his scales still showed. Jack grabbed his old service rifle from the wall safe. He might be just a farmer now, but he had been a soldier once, inside the house. Blue, the tech specialist, was working on the power systems. Her fingers flew over her tablets as she tried to boost their defenses. I can turn the storm energy into a shield, she said, but I need more power. The twins, Zoe and Chloe Blackwood, stood back to back, their minds linked in the way of their people. They spoke in unison. The enemy comes from 3 directions, northeast and below. Below, Jack asked. This house has no basement. Luna looked at the floor. Yes, it does, she said. The way station is under us. Your ancestors built this farm to hide it. The first attack came through the walls. The void dancers did not need doors or windows. They stepped through solid matter like it was air. Beings made of darkness and whispers with too many angles and no fixed shape. The Wolf Brigade opened fire. Plasma bolts and energy beams lit up the room. But many shots passed right through the enemies. Diana Hart and Casey Rivers worked as a team, one shooting high while the other shot low. Their training showed in every move. Luna raised her hands and spoke words of power. Golden light erupted from her skin, pushing the shadows back. Her people might be gone, but their magic remained. Ember roared and breathed fire that burned across dimensions, actually hurting the creatures. Jack found himself in combat for the first time in decades. His old training came back as he fired careful shots. He could not hit the shadows, but he could disrupt their patterns, making them solid enough for the others to hurt. Protect the beacon, Luna shouted. She pressed her hand to the floor, and symbols appeared in the wood, glowing with ancient power. This is what they want. The way station can open permanent doors between worlds. Bailey Quinn, Taylor Moss, and Jordan Fletcher formed a triangle around Luna, giving her cover as she worked. Their different fighting styles meshed perfectly. Bailey with her twin pistols, Taylor with her energy sword, and Jordan singing notes that became solid barriers. Riley Stone commanded from the center, adapting their defense as the enemy attacked. She was more than just a good soldier. Jack realized she moved like someone who had fought these things before. Alexis Kane took a hit from a shadow claw that passed through her armor. She screamed, but kept fighting, blood running down her arm. Sage, the youngest, rushed to help her using a medical gel that glowed blue. We cannot hold them forever, Riley shouted. There are too many. Luna looked up from the glowing symbols. I need time, she said. The station defenses are waking up, but they have slept for thousands of years. Morgan Cross had an idea, Captain, she called the storm. If we can channel it through the house systems, we can make a feedback loop. Do it, Riley ordered. Blue, make it happen, Blue. And Morgan worked together, the cyber-eyed tracker feeding data. While the tech specialist rewired the power grid, Jack helped where he could. His engineer training useful, even if it was decades old. The void dancers pressed harder. Their whispers filled the air with promises and threats in languages that predated human speech. Some hunters covered their ears, but others, like the twins, seemed immune. Then the house shook as something massive hit it from below. The floor cracked and split. A void dancer, larger than the others, rose through the gap. This one had more form, almost humanoid, but with too many arms and eyes that showed distant dying stars. Luna gasped. That is a herald, she said. They lead the armies. Riley did not hesitate. She charged the herald, firing her rifle until it overheated, then switching to her energy blade. The creature laughed a sound like breaking glass and swatted her aside. Ember grew to full size again, bursting through the ceiling. His fire met the herald head-on dragon, flame against void darkness. The two forces met in the middle, creating a sphere of conflicting energies. Jack saw his chance. While the herald was distracted, He remembered something his grandmother had told him, stories about the old blood she had, said their family was special, chosen to guard something important. He bit his thumb, drawing blood, and pressed it to the glowing symbols on the floor. The reaction was instant. The symbols flared brighter and spread across the entire room. Ancient defenses that had waited generations for the right blood finally awakened. The way station below them came alive. Pillars of light shot up through the floor, creating a protective barrier. The void dancers recoiled from the light, their shadow forms. Burning Luna looked at Jack with new understanding. "You have the blood," she said. "You are part." Ashanti Riley helped her team regroup. "Now we fight with the station power," she shouted. "Hit them while they are weakened." The battle turned. The hunters coordinated their attacks while Luna directed the station defenses. Ember flew circles around the Herald, keeping it busy. The combined assault was too much for the void creatures. The Herald spoke, its voice like grinding stone. "This station will fall as all the others have fallen. You only delay the hunger." Luna stood tall, her power fully awakened. "No," she said, "this station holds. And we have something you did not expect." "What?" Riley asked. Luna smiled. 13 daughters of different stars, she said, each carrying the blood of the old races. The Wolf Brigade was not here by accident, Captain. You were called. Riley touched her chest where an old scar lay beneath her armor. "My grandmother," she said. "She told me I was special. You all are." Luna said, "Look." Each hunter began to glow with different colored light, their hidden heritage awakening in the presence of the way station. Alexis with Starwalker silver, Morgan with Tavani gold, Sage with Crystal Singer blue. Even Jack glowed with a soft green light. The Herald screamed and retreated, pulling its forces back. "This is not over," it promised. "We will return when you are alone." The shadows faded back into the storm, leaving the damaged farmhouse in sudden quiet. The hunters stood amazed at their own glowing auras, while Luna worked to seal the cracks in reality. Jack looked at his glowing hands, then at the 13 women who had brought war to his door, but also truth about who he really was. The night was only half over, and already everything had changed. Midnight came with violence and terror. The farmhouse walls shook as reality itself began to tear apart. The void dancers returned in force, no longer testing defenses but launching a full assault. Jack watched the air split open like rotten fruit, revealing the space between dimensions. Riley Stone barked orders to her pack. "Form defensive circles," she commanded. "Energy weapons only. Physical ammo will not work on the big ones." The 13 bounty hunters moved as one unit. Years of training showed. In their coordinated response, Diane Hart and Casey Rivers took sniper positions at opposite windows, their long rifles humming with charged plasma. Morgan Cross used her cyber eye to mark targets, calling out positions to the others. Luna stood in the center of the main room, her hands weaving complex patterns. The way station below them pulsed with ancient power, responding to her commands. Ember circled overhead, no longer hiding his true nature as a dragon. His scales caught the strange light, making him look like a flying constellation. The attack came from every direction at once. Void dancers poured through the dimensional tiers. Some looked almost human if you did not see their extra joints and backwards faces. Others were pure nightmare, made of smoke and screaming mouths. The worst ones defied description, changing shape with each heartbeat. Jack fought beside the hunters, his old rifle modified by blue to fire energy bursts. He was surprised how easily the combat reflexes returned. After 30 years of farming, duck, shoot, reload, move. The rhythm came back like riding a bicycle. Alexis Kane led a squad of 3 hunters in close combat. Her Starwalker blood let her phase slightly out of sync with normal reality. She could touch the void dancers when others could not. Her energy blade cut through shadow flesh, leaving trails of silver fire. "They are focusing on the beacon," Sage called out. The young hunter, despite her age, showed no fear. She moved like a dancer, dodging attacks, while laying down suppressing fire. "They want to corrupt it?" Luna gritted her teeth, holding the way station defenses active. "If they take the beacon," she said, "they can open a permanent door. Their whole army will come through. Bailey Quinn and Taylor, Moss worked together to thin the enemy numbers. Bailey dual-wielded pistols that fired hard-light bullets, while Taylor spun her energy sword in deadly arcs. They had fought together so long, they moved like one person with 4 arms. Jordan Fletcher began to sing. Her crystal singer heritage turned her voice into a weapon. Sound waves became visible, rippling through the air and shattering void dancers like glass. The creatures could not maintain form when hit by the right frequencies, but there were so many of them. For each one destroyed, 2 more seemed to appear. The dimensional tiers kept widening, letting bigger threats through. Jack saw things that should not exist in any sane universe. Blue worked frantically on her equipment, trying to boost their defenses. "I need more power," she shouted. "The house grid cannot handle the load." The Blackwood twins had an idea. "We can channel our own energy," they said in perfect unison. "But it will leave us vulnerable." "Do it," Riley ordered. "We need every advantage." Zoe and Chloe joined hands, their shared consciousness expanding to touch the way station. Their minds merged with the ancient technology, feeding it raw psychic power. The defense grid strengthened, but the twins collapsed from the effort. "Cover them," Riley commanded as she dragged the unconscious twins to safety. The battle reached a turning point when the Void King appeared, not through a tier, but manifesting directly in the room. He existed in 17 dimensions at once, making him appear as a constantly shifting mass of possibilities. One moment he had tentacles, the next he was made of crystals. Then he became pure geometric shapes that hurt to perceive. Jack felt his mind trying to reject what he saw. The human brain was not meant to process 17-dimensional beings, but his Ashanti blood helped him stay sane where pure humans would break. Luna faced the Void King without flinching. "You should not be here," she said. "The treaties forbid direct intervention." The king spoke in harmonics that made windows crack. "Treaties with dead races mean nothing. Your guardians have failed one by one. This station will join them. Not while I breathe." Luna replied. She pulled deep on the way station power, making the entire farm glow. Ember landed beside her, adding his dragon fire to her light. Together they pushed the king back but could not banish him. Morgan Cross made a tactical observation. "Captain, the tiers are all connected. If we destabilize the main one, the others might collapse." Riley processed this quickly. "Blue, can you reverse the portal frequency? Make it fold in on itself, theoretically?" "Yes," Blue said, "but I would need a massive power source." All eyes turned to Ember. The dragon understood without words. He roared agreement and grew to his full size, nearly 30 feet of scales and fire. Jack realized what they meant to do. Use Ember as a living battery, channel his dragon fire through the way station to overload the portals. It might work, but it could also kill the dragon. Luna read his thoughts. "Ember knows the risk," she said. "He chooses this." The Wolf Brigade shifted formation to protect Blue while she worked. Diane and Casey abandoned their sniper posts to join the defensive circle. The enemy sensed the threat and pressed. Harder void dancers swarmed toward Blue but met fierce resistance. Jordan sang barriers into existence while Bailey and Taylor cut down anything that got through. Alexis, despite her wounds, fought like a woman possessed, her blade never stopping. The Void King laughed. "You delay the inevitable. When this world falls, we will consume the next and the next, until all dimensions are void." Jack had heard enough. He stepped forward, his farmer clothes torn and burned, but his eyes blazing with determination. "My grandmother told me stories," he said, "about the First War, how the Ashanti won not through strength but through sacrifice." The king focused on him, amused. "What can one old farmer do?" "This," Jack said. He pulled out an old key that had hung around his neck for decades, his grandmother's last gift. Never understood what it was for. Until now, he pressed the key into a hidden slot in the floor, a slot he had covered with a rug and forgotten. The way station recognized the commander key and opened its deepest defenses. The floor split apart, revealing the true beacon, a crystal, the size of a house pulsing with collected starlight. This was not just a way station, but a major hub in the network. Luna gasped. "I did not know," she said. This is one of the prime stations. Riley saw the opportunity. All hunters channel your heritage into the beacon, she ordered. Whatever alien blood you carry, feed it to the crystal. The 13 women placed hands on the beacon, each one glowing with their ancestral light. Alexis silver, Morgan gold, Sage blue. The Blackwood twins woke and added their psychic energy. Jordan sang in the Crystal Singer way. Bailey and Taylor merged their energies. Diana and Casey synchronized their heartbeats with the Crystal Pulse blue, connected Ember to the system. Dragonfire flowed through her equipment into the beacon. The crystal blazed brighter than a sun. The Void King realized the danger too late. He tried to retreat, but Jack activated the commander key fully. The way station locked down space itself. No teleporting, no phasing, no dimensional jumps. Everything within a mile became fixed in normal reality. Now, Luna shouted. 13 voices joined hers in the words of power. Words and languages from across the galaxy united. In purpose, the beacon fired not a weapon but a wave of pure order. Reality reasserted itself with crushing force. Void dancers caught in the wave simply ceased. Their chaotic forms could not exist in such structured space. They dissolved like bad dreams at dawn. The Void King fought back. He was too powerful to simply dissolve. Instead, he began to burn. Unable to maintain 17 dimensions, he collapsed down to 3, then 2. His scream shattered every piece of glass in the house. You will regret this, he promised as he burned. These stations are not just defenses, they are prisons. You have awakened things better left sleeping. Then he was gone, pulled back to his own dimension as the portals collapsed. The tiers in reality sealed shut, leaving only the storm outside. The beacon powered down its work. Dun Ember shrank back to cat size, exhausted but alive. The hunters released the crystal and collapsed, where they stood drained but victorious. Jack surveyed the damage his home was. Wrecked walls had holes. Furniture was ash and the roof was partly missing, but they were alive. Luna leaned against him, trembling. The king. Final words, she said. What did he mean about prisons? Riley Stone, despite exhaustion, stood tall. We will figure that out, she said. But tonight we won 13 hunters, a dragon, an elf, and a farmer beat back the Void Morgan. Cross laughed at the absurdity. Sounds like a bad joke, she said. Walk into a bar. Jack looked at the 13 women who had destroyed his quiet life but saved the world. Maybe they had not just brought war to his door, but purpose. He had spent 30 years hiding from his heritage. Tonight he embraced it. We should check the perimeter, Alexis suggested. Always practical even after an impossible battle. Rest first. Riley ordered food and medical attention. Casey, I saw you take a hit to the ribs. Bailey, is that burn getting treated? Sage, you did well for your first real fight. The young hunter beamed at the praise, though she tried to hide it. As dawn approached, they gathered in what remained of the living room. Blue had somehow got the coffee maker working, because priorities. Jack served food from his pantry, while Luna tended wounds with herbs and Ashanti healing songs. Ember, curled by the empty fireplace, looking just like a large orange cat again. But now everyone knew the truth, so what happens now? Jack asked. Dawn brought revelations that shattered everything Jack thought he knew about the galaxy. Riley Stone sat at the broken kitchen table, spreading out data pads and holographic displays. The other hunters gathered around, exhausted but alert. Luna stood by the window watching the sunrise through the damaged wall. We need to talk about what you really are, Riley said to her pack. No more secrets. The women exchanged glances. They had fought as a unit, but some truths had stayed hidden even from each other. I will start, Riley said, pulling off her jacket to reveal intricate tattoos covering her arms. Not ink, but birthmarks that formed patterns. My mother was human. My father was Ashanti. He left before I was born, but he gave me these marks. They react to way station energy, Alexis. Kane nodded and touched her own neck where silver lines pulsed beneath dark skin. Starwalker blood, she said. My great-grandmother fell from the sky in a pod. The village that found her thought she was an angel. She was actually a refugee from the Walker fleet. One by one the hunters shared their heritage. Morgan Cross explained how her cyber eye was not technology, but a Tavani organ that let her see in multiple spectrums. Sage revealed that her young appearance was deceptive. Crystal Singer's aged slowly, and she was actually 40 years old. The Blackwood twins spoke together as always. Our people were experiments. They said human minds and bodies designed for psychic networking. We are Generation 7 of the Project. Bailey Quinn and Taylor Moss had simpler stories. Their bloodlines carried traces of warrior races that had visited Earth centuries ago. Small amounts, but enough to make them faster and stronger than normal humans. Jordan Fletcher sang. A few notes and the broken glass on the floor reformed into a window. Crystal Singer's shape matter through sound, she explained. My throat is not quite human anymore. Diana Hart and Casey Rivers were sisters, something they had hidden from the brigade. Both carried genes from the Phantom Corps soldiers who could slow their perception of time, making them perfect snipers. Blue was the biggest surprise. She pulled off her gloves, revealing hands that shifted between flesh and circuitry. I am only half biological, she said. The other half is living technology from the machine monks. Jack felt overwhelmed. 13 women, each carrying impossible heritage, all gathered at his farm by seeming chance. Not chance, Luna said, reading his expression. The way stations. Call to those with the blood. Even dormant stations like this one send out signals that only we can hear. Riley pulled up a star map. This changes our mission, she said. We thought we were just bounty hunters tracking criminals, but we are something else. Guardians. Luna said simply. Your brigade was formed to hunt threats, but really you were being gathered. The old blood calling to itself, preparing for the return of the void, but why now? Jack asked. The war was thousands of years ago. Luna's face grew dark. Because the seals are breaking, she said. The Void King mentioned prisons. That is what the way stations really are. Not just defenses, but locks on doors that should stay closed. Ember made a sound of agreement from his spot by the broken fireplace. Blue accessed her databases, cross-referencing the information I found. References, she said. Classified above top secret. The Earth government knows about the old races. They have been tracking bloodlines for generations. That is how they recruit for special forces, Morgan realized. They look for the heritage. Riley stood and paced, thinking. We need more information, she decided, and we need to warn others. If the Void is testing all the way stations, then other sites are in danger. Jack remembered something. His grandmother had said she kept journals, he said, hidden in the old barn. Maybe they have information. Sage volunteered to search, being the smallest and most agile. She returned with a metal box that had survived the battle. Inside were handwritten books dated 50 years ago. Jack's grandmother had known everything. She wrote about the Ashanti bloodline, about the way station beneath the farm, about the coming danger. She had prepared, but died before she could act. There is a list here, Luna said. Excited other station locations and names of families that carry the blood. Riley immediately started planning. We split up. She decided cover more ground. Each team takes a region and checks the stations. No. Alexis disagreed strongly. Splitting up is what the Void wants. They can take us easier in small groups. Jack had been reading another journal. His grandmother mentioned a gathering place. He said, a neutral ground where all the bloodlines could meet safely. She called it the sanctuary, where, Blue asked, already pulling up stellar maps. Under the Arctic ice, Jack read. On Earth, hidden by the magnetic interference. A whole city preserved from the First War. That sounds like a trap. Taylor said, too convenient, or exactly what we need. Bailey countered. A fortified position with resources. Luna made the decision. We go. She said, all of us. The Void will attack again, and we need somewhere defensible. This farm is compromised. Jack looked around at his destroyed home. 30 years of quiet life gone in one night. But he found he did not care. The truth was worth it. When do we leave? He asked. Riley smiled, recognizing his commitment. As soon as we can travel, she said. Blue, can you get our bikes running after the storm? Give me 2 hours. Blue said. Most of the damage is superficial. Casey raised a concern. What about him? She pointed at Ember. We cannot hide a dragon during travel. Luna stroked Ember scales. He can stay small, she said. But we will need a vehicle for Jack. Have a truck, Jack said. Military. Surplus shielded. It should have survived the storm. The planning continued as morning grew brighter. Each hunter contributed ideas and concerns. They had fought as a team. Now they planned as one. Jordan asked the question. Everyone was thinking, what if the sanctuary is not empty? What if something is already there? Then we deal with it. Riley said simply. We are 13 of the deadliest hunters in human space, plus an Ashanti guardian and her dragon, and Jack, who apparently has commander access. To the network, Jack felt the weight of that responsibility. His grandmother had passed him more than just a farm. She had given him authority in a war he never knew existed. We should take the beacon, Blue suggested. The crystal core is portable originally, meant to be moved in emergencies. Can we do that safely? Luna asked. Ember can carry it. Blue said dragons are immune to way station radiation. He can keep it stable during transport. The next hours passed in preparation. They salvaged supplies, cleaned weapons, and treated remaining injuries. The storm finally ended, leaving clear skies and damaged landscape as they prepared to leave. Jack took one last walk through his ruined home. In the wreckage of his bedroom, he found a picture of his grandmother, young and smiling, wearing a uniform he now recognized as Ashanti military. She knew this day would come. He realized she had prepared him, even if he had not understood. Riley found him there. We honor them by continuing their work, she said. My father left me these marks, but no explanation. Now I know why every generation carries the duty forward. Jack packed the photo carefully. This is not just about survival anymore, he said. This is about reclaiming what was lost. Riley nodded. The void took our ancestors' worlds, she said. They scattered the survivors and hoped we would forget. But the blood remembers. Outside, the others were loading the vehicles. Blue had performed miracles getting everything running. The bikes hummed with power while Jack, truck looked ready for war. Luna approached with a warning. The journey will be dangerous, she said. The void knows we activated a prime station. They will hunt us. Let them come. Morgan said, checking her rifle. We gave them a bloody nose here. We can do it again. Sage, despite everything, smiled with young enthusiasm. First interdimensional monsters, now a secret Arctic city. This is the best job ever. The older hunters laughed, remembering when they too found wonder and danger. As they prepared to depart, Casey spotted something on the horizon. Dust clouds, multiple vehicles approaching. Riley grabbed binoculars and checked. They are human, she said. Government plates. Black ops from the look of it. Blue hacked their communications. They know about the battle, she reported. Coming to investigate and probably arrest us. Time to go, Riley decided. Mount up, people. The 13 hunters started their bikes. Jack fired up his truck with Luna and Ember beside him. The dragon held the beacon, crystal wrapped in special blankets. As they pulled out, Morgan asked, "Which way north?" Jack said, following his grandmother notes to the sanctuary. The government vehicles were getting closer, but the Wolf Brigade was faster. They hit the open road and accelerated, leaving the destroyed farm behind. In the rearview mirror, Jack saw black-suited agents examining his former home. They would find evidence of the battle, but no answers. Luna touched his arm. "You did the right thing," she said. "That life was a disguise anyway." Jack nodded and pressed harder on the accelerator. Ahead lay mystery and danger, but also truth. Behind them, the old life burned away. The Wolf Brigade rode toward destiny. 13 women and their allies against the hunger of the void. The real war was just beginning. The sanctuary rose from the Arctic ice like a crystal mountain. Ancient spires of unknown metal caught the endless daylight, making rainbow patterns on the snow. After 3 days of hard travel, the Wolf Brigade finally saw their destination. Jack stopped his truck at the edge of a massive canyon carved into the ice. Below them, the city spread out, perfectly preserved under a transparent dome. The architecture was impossible curves and angles that seemed to shift when you looked directly at them. "My grandmother was right," He breathed. It is real. Luna. Eyes glowed brighter as she recognized the construction styles. This is not just a shanty, she said. Many races built this together. A alliance city from the First War. Riley gathered her hunters. On the ice shelf overlooking the city. Everyone stay alert, she ordered. Just because it looks empty does not mean it is safe. The path down was a spiral road carved into the canyon wall. Their vehicles moved slowly, careful, on the ancient ice blue, constantly scanned for threats while Morgan's cyber eye swept every shadow. Halfway down, Sage spotted movement. There, she called, pointing to the city streets. Lights are turning on. The city was waking up. Street lamps flared to life in sequence like dominoes falling. Building windows began to glow with soft blue light. The dome itself shimmered and became more solid. It knows we are here, Luna said. The city recognizes the bloodlines. They reached the dome edge where a massive gate stood closed. Symbols covered its surface, writing from dozen different races. Jack recognized some as similar to the marks on his farm way station. How do we open it? Bailey asked. Jack remembered his grandmother key. He pulled it out and approached the gate. The metal grew warm in his hand and the symbols began glowing. Wait, Alexis warned. It could be trapped, but Jack felt pulled forward. He pressed the key into a slot that appeared just for it. The gate rumbled and split open, revealing a tunnel through the dome, while the Wolf Brigade entered the sanctuary in formation, ready for anything. But the city welcomed them with warm air and gentle light. The temperature inside was comfortable despite the Arctic location outside. Ember suddenly grew to full size, breaking free from Luna hold. The dragon roared not in anger but in joy. He recognized this place. Luna understood he was born here. She said, "Dragons nested in the sanctuary during the Alliance years. This is his ancestral home." They parked in a wide plaza surrounded by graceful towers. Blue immediately started analyzing the technology. "This is incredible," she said. "The power source is still running after thousands of years. Fusion reactors, but designed differently than ours." Riley organized exploration teams. Jordan and Sage checked the nearest buildings. Diana and Casey find high ground for overwatch. Everyone else fan out but stay in contact. Jack felt drawn to the central tower. It dominated the skyline, twisted like a drill, reaching toward the dome peak. Luna followed him, understanding his pull. The tower entrance opened at their approach. Inside was a vast chamber with floating platforms instead of stairs. They stepped on one, and it lifted them smoothly upward. Each level showed different purposes. Living quarters, meeting rooms, what looked like laboratories. All empty but perfectly preserved. At the top they found the command center. Holographic displays activated, showing the entire way station network across the galaxy. Hundreds of dots marking station. "Locations most are dark," Luna said sadly, "dead or dormant. Only a few still shine." Jack studied the display. Their farm was there, glowing brighter than most, a prime station as Luna had called it. Other lights scattered across space showed active defenses. Then, the display changed. New symbols appeared, red and angry. Void incursions marking where reality was weakest. "They are everywhere." Morgan's voice came over comms. She had found another command station showing the same data. Riley gathered everyone in the central plaza. "We need to understand what we are dealing with," she said. "Blue, can you access the historical records?" Blue had found the city library, banks of crystal storage devices that held impossible amounts of data. "Give me time," she said. "I need to build an interface." While Blue worked, the others explored further. The city was massive, with districts for different races, each area adapted to specific needs. Pools for aquatic species, high perches for flyers, underground, warrens for burrowers, all empty, Sage observed. Where did they go? Luna found the memorial, a crystalline obelisk in a quiet garden covered with names in countless languages. The evacuation registry, she read. They left before the final battle, scattered to seed the galaxy with bloodlines, so we are all that is left, Taylor said quietly. No, Luna corrected. We are what they planned. 1,000 generations later, the blood returning when needed. Most Alexis discovered the armory, ancient weapons that still hummed with power, armor that adjusted to fit any wearer, tools and devices beyond current human technology. Christmas came early, she joked, but her eyes were serious. The real discovery came when Blue cracked the historical database. She projected the records for all to see, showing the first war against the Void. It was worse than the legends said. Whole civilizations, consumed planets turned to nothing but hungry shadows. The Alliance fought desperately but could not win through strength alone. So they cheated, Jack said, understanding the way stations were not fortresses but traps. Exactly, Blue confirmed. They could not destroy the Void, but they could contain it. Lock it away in dead dimensions where it could not feed, but prisons need guards. Jordan realized, that is, why the bloodlines were scattered. To watch and maintain the seals. The display showed the slow degradation of the network. Over millennia, stations failed and seals weakened. The Void tested constantly, probing for gaps. And now it found them. Riley concluded, the barriers are thin enough to push through. We saw that at Jack Farm. Luna pointed to the Arctic station on the map. This place is more than a city, she said. It is the master control for the entire network. From here we can strengthen the other stations. If we knew how Casey said the technology is beyond us. Blue smiled. Not beyond me, she said. Remember, I am part machine. The city systems recognize my components. I can interface directly. That sounds dangerous. Sage warned. Everything we do is dangerous, Riley reminded her. But we did not come this far to give up. As they debated, alarms suddenly screamed through the city. The displays flashed red, showing massive distortions approaching. The Void found us, Morgan announced unnecessarily. How, Jack asked. The dome should hide us. The Void King marks his prey, Luna said grimly. He touched us during the battle. Now he can track us anywhere. Outside the dome, the ice cracked and split. Dark shapes poured through things that should not exist in the frozen waste. The temperature dropped even further as reality grew. Thin, Riley took command. Everyone to defensive positions, she ordered. Use the city defenses. Blue, get those weapons online. The ancient city responded to the threat. Towers extended weapon pods that had waited millennia to fire again. Energy shields shimmered to life between buildings. The dome itself hardened, becoming a barrier against the Void. But the enemy had come prepared. This was not a probe, but a full assault. Void dancers, in the thousands, surrounded the city while larger shapes moved in the darkness beyond. The herald from the farm appeared, walking through the dome like it was not there. You delayed nothing, it said in its grinding voice. The hunger is patient but inevitable. Luna and Ember met it in the plaza. The dragon had grown to war-size flames dancing around his scales. Luna pulled on the city power, making the air itself burn with golden light. You cannot have this place, she declared. The sanctuary stands. The battle erupted. Everywhere at once, the Wolf Brigade used the ancient weapons, mixing them with their modern training plasma cannons that fired through dimensions, energy blades that cut void flesh shields that turned shadow strikes into harmless mist. Jack found himself at a command console directing city defenses. His grandmother training had included things he never understood until now. Meditation techniques that were actually command protocols. Mental exercises that let him link with Ashanti technology, became the city and the city became him. Through 1,000 sensors he felt the battle, saw patterns no single person could grasp. He directed fire, moved shields, activated systems that had slept since the First War. The Blackwood twins linked with him, adding their psychic strength. 3 minds became one, controlling defenses with thought alone. Jordan sang from the highest tower, her crystal singer voice amplified by the city acoustic design. Her song became visible, aurora that wrapped around the dome, keeping the smaller void creatures out. Bailey and Taylor led ground teams in brutal close combat. The ancient armor made them near invincible, and they carved through enemies like deadly dancers. But for all their strength, they were still just 15 defenders against thousands. Blue worked desperately to bring more systems online, but the city had slept too long. Then the Void King himself appeared. He did not come through a rift or walk through walls. He simply existed suddenly there. In 17 dimensions at once the plaza cracked under the weight of his presence. You use tools you do not understand. He said, your ancestors failed with all their might. What hope do 13 children have? Riley faced him without flinching. We are not our ancestors, she said. We are something new. She pulled off her armor, revealing the birthmark tattoos fully. They blazed with light as she drew on her heritage. But more than that, she drew on her pack. Through bonds forged in battle, she pulled power from all 13 hunters. Each woman felt it and gave freely. Their different bloodlines merged through Riley, becoming something greater than the sum Starwalker.